I will begin by reading the Indigenous Land Use Statement. We acknowledge the land which we occupy today as the traditional home of the Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok tribal nations. These sovereign people have been the caretakers of this land since time immemorial. Despite centuries of genocide and occupation, the Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok continue as vibrant, resilient tribes and bands, both federally recognized and unrecognized. We take this opportunity to acknowledge the generations that have gone before, as well as the present-day Nisenan, Maidu. Hereby call this meeting to order at 10:31 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Director Carvalho, if you could begin the roll call.
With pleasure. President Burrows.
Present.
VP Dominique Espinoza. VP Dominique Espinoza. Oh. Director of Communications Carvalho, present. Director of Finance Queen.
Present.
Director of Public Relations Love.
Present.
Director of Legislative Affairs Garcia.
Excused.
Senator Ng.
Present.
Senator Nealon.
Here, here.
Senator Gorman.
Present.
Legislative Analyst Villard Birch.
Present.
Cape Representative Mark Shepard.
Present.
All right. We got about 10 of 11 of the members present. Quorum is met.
Awesome. Thank you, Director Carvalho. All right, we will now move on to adoption of the agenda. The agenda was posted earlier this week and also went in an email last night. So if there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda. Seeing and hearing none, the agenda is adopted. We will now move on to approval of the minutes. These are the minutes from the meeting we held 2 weeks ago on November 19th. It also went out in the email last night. If there are no objections, we will approve the minutes. Seeing and hearing none, the minutes are approved. So we will now move on to Chair's message. It's the end of week 15, our last meeting of the semester. Hope everyone had a great last weekend. I had just a few things to share with you guys about athletics and arts, kind of winding down the end of the semester. So competitions are happening and, sort of finals, and then also different art performances. So ARC volleyball is at a state championship in Fresno this morning, playing against Bakersfield. Good luck to them. Men's soccer is playing Mount San Antonio tonight at 7. Good luck to them as well. I recently heard the men's cross country team finished 5th in the state and 2nd in Northern California. So congratulations to them. As for arts, ARC's music department is holding a live streaming concert series next Tuesday, starting with choir in the morning and wrapping up with symphonic band in the evening. Local jazz ensembles are holding a live concert on campus next Wednesday at 7:30. And the ARC Theater is performing the Christmas Carol Rag on campus tonight and through the weekend. So check out ARC Theater, and that's theatertre.org for tickets. So I wish all of you the absolute best on your finals. We're almost there. That's it for Chair's message. We'll now move on to Advisor's message.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks, Stacey. Aloha. It's, like Stacey said, the last meeting of the semester. So, as always, I just want to thank you all for showing up every Friday morning and trying to advocate for students. I know we're still in this weird environment. And I was thinking this morning, this board, well, back up, last year's board still kind of knew each other from their on-ground relationships, like before the pandemic hit, at least half the board. You all are in a different situation, obviously. So most of you have never really met in person. It's hard to be leaders when you have never physically met some of your fellow leaders. So I just wanted to give you all a shout out for continuing to try to find ways to make change on our campus and have those discussions with other constituencies. So thank you very much. And like Stacey said, I wish you all the best with finals and the holidays. I know the holidays can be a joyous time, but also difficult for many. So I hope you can at least spend time with loved ones, with friends, with family. Yeah, so with that, I have a couple announcements, and thank you for announcing the athletics and the arts events, two passions of mine. So I'm glad they get recognized in this space. I think on the 7th, which is Tuesday, the ARC choir is having an event, and it's a fundraiser for the Beaver Cares Food Pantry. So, and they're gonna live stream it. I will find all those links and either put them in the chat or I'll email them out to the board. So I just thought that was a cool event. So some other announcements. I never know what I'm gonna say till a half hour before I jot down notes, and there's a long list. So I'll try to keep it short. Registration is currently happening, as most of you know, right? So I sent an email out to the board earlier this week, and I just wanted to kind of clarify what some of that meant if you were confused. So if you have enrolled in a class for spring, either now or up to December 21st, you will have until January 4th to pay those fees. If you don't pay them by January 5th at midnight, you'll be auto dropped from those courses. So if you're still working on your schedule or still trying to figure out, how you're going to pay for that, you have till basically January 4th. If you add a class starting December 22nd or later, you have 24 hours, just like previously how it's been traditionally, to pay those fees, or you'll be auto dropped. So in case you are still working on your schedule for spring, or you have friends or constituents asking you about that, just kind of remind them of that. You can share that email I sent to you all, and I believe it's up on e-services as well, but a little different than last semester. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that for everyone. If you have questions, you can chat with me privately, you can email me, you can call me, whatever, and I'll try to work with you on that. Keep in mind for spring, 5 units at ARC. So I know we're kind of juggling classes at different campuses, but to be eligible for this board, you have to have 5 units at ARC. So if that's going to be an issue, a concern, let Stacey know, let myself know, so that we can kind of plan, prepare, do what we got to do. And a cumulative GPA of 2.0. So if that becomes an issue, definitely let me know, or we'll definitely be having a conversation. So I got that out of the way. Parking's still going to be free for spring. Just don't park in a handicap zone or a fire zone, but there's no enforcement of parking. So if you are taking on-ground classes, don't stress about buying a permit or one of those daily permits. It's not necessary for spring. Bus passes. I can't remember if I shared this last meeting, but the bus pass is going to be on an app. So right now, bus passes, you had to go through e-services, fill out a Google link, and they mailed you the sticker. Now it's going to be on an app called Zip Pass. It's fairly easy. They gave me a little test dummy sign in, and I went through it and took 30 seconds. But you won't get that until you have paid your fees. So if you still owe fees, you won't be able to get the bus pass, because bus pass is one of your fees. So if you have questions on that, again, let me know. I'm kind of one of the people at ARC that's kind of the contact for that. So just let me know. For folks that don't have a smartphone or don't have access to an app, the district is working on alternatives. I don't have an answer for you yet on what that's going to be. It's probably going to just be a sticker, but we're still working on that. So I know I'm talking forever. Home bases are going to open in the spring. There are set hours, 4 days a week, where the home base coaches or staff will be there on ground. So there's 6 home bases. They finalized those positions over the last few weeks. The team, I think, officially started on Wednesday. So they're still kind of getting situated, but I will email you all out the hours of when those home bases are going to be open. But starting January 18th, which is that traditionally first day of school, the home base coaches or clerks and teams, mentors will all be on campus. It will be limited hours, but they will be there. So the only days they won't be there are Fridays. So just a heads up on that. The next food pantry is December 14th. It's a Tuesday. I believe it'll be the last one of the semester. I saw some of you at the one on this Tuesday. I volunteered out there, so it was nice to see folks. But that's the last one for the semester. So if you're in need or know someone in need, just tell them they have to pre-register. It's real simple. But there was plenty of food on Tuesday. And then lastly, I'm going to end it on kind of a sour note. I don't know if you all are aware of that parade that was in Wisconsin, where there were people killed by a car, and there was at least one child killed. I learned of him through social media. His name was Jackson, and Jackson loved baseball. And as you all know, I love baseball. And so unfortunately today is his memorial, and his mom put on social media to wear baseball jerseys. So I am wearing my baseball jersey today for Jackson. And I just wanted to end it with that. So hug the people you love, tell them you love them. And I will pass it back to Stacey. And sorry I had to end it on a bummer, but I wanted to give a shout out. So Stacey, thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Brett. It's all awesome information. And I understand about the complications of ending on a difficult note, but it's also an important message to share. So thank you for that. Great. We will now move on to public comment. This time is reserved for members of the public to address ASB Senate on issues not already appearing on the agenda. The limit of 2 minutes per speaker shall be observed with a maximum of 4 minutes per topic. No discussion is allotted on public comment. The law does not permit any action to be taken or extended discussion of any items not on the agenda. The ASB Senate may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed. However, for further information, please contact the ASB Senate President for the item of discussion to be placed on the future agenda. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment at this time?
Chair.
Recognized.
Hi, this is Laurie. I saw both Brett and Dean Johnson at the food distribution, so that was pretty cool. And I picked up the sewing machine for AAUW to start making masks for my sister's house. Won't try to do that before finals. And I just added the zip pass right when Brett mentioned it. So hopefully I'll be ready for that. My registration date is December 20th at noon. So I don't know if I'm going to get anything, but if I do, I'll let you know. And we've mentioned this before. I've been trying to do this for years, but next semester, if it's possible to reconsider adding a director of sustainability position, because the environmental issues always get pushed to the back. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laurie. And I wanted to clarify, my sister's house being the shelter organization.
Yes, I believe it, at least originally, was for Asian victims of domestic violence.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your work in the community. It's very important. And I will share the link to their website in the chat for all of you to look at. Any other members of the
Sorry,
go ahead,
I
Laurie.
forgot one thing. There one concert, I don't know if it's a choir, but it said featuring Valerie Adger. That's the one for Beaver Cares, I think. I don't know if she sings or plays an instrument. I don't know exactly what that meant, but it starts at 11 on Tuesday. So it's the same time as Cave, unless we end early again.
Brett, do you happen to know? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to upload the flyer for it. I don't know Valerie well enough to know if she's singing. I think she's just doing a brief overview of the food pantry. I will text them and ask, and I'll let you all know. But if she's singing, then yeah, I'll definitely want to see that. So I'll let you know.
Chair.
Recognized.
So actually, I was invited to do a presentation on that day. So we might either my vice president will hold a meeting, or that meeting might get canceled.
Thank you for that update, President Shepherd. All right, any other members of the public wish to make a comment at this time? Great, seeing and hearing none. We will now move on to appointments and swearing in. We don't have any specific appointments ready today, although there have been a couple of requests. There is a management hiring committee taking place on December 16th and 17th. A student representative is needed. I recently learned that on these hiring committees, student representatives offer feedback, but do not have voting enfranchisement. So that's something to be aware of. Votes are not counted towards the final hiring decision, but the student feedback is appreciated. Again, this is December 16th and 17th. So this would be the last day of finals and the Friday following it. If anyone is interested in serving on that management hiring committee, please reach out. You can also say so now. And while we're still on the topic of appointments, Affordable Learning Materials Committee reached out to ask again about a student appointment for the spring. They'll be meeting every first and third, I believe it's Thursday. Please correct me if I'm wrong, first and third Thursday from 3 to 4:30.
For the affordable learning?
Correct.
Yes, that sounds right. I have the email here. I'll confirm that, but that top of my head, I think that's what Kate said.
Okay, I see a comment in the chat from Lori. Which of the appointments were you interested in, Lori?
I heard the management one. Was there something else?
Yeah, there's also Affordable Learning Materials Committee.
Either one, whichever you need.
All right, is anyone else interested on serving either of these? Otherwise, they're both going to Lori.
Damn. Excuse me.
Recognized.
I would be interested in serving on one or two of those, one of them.
All right, let's see. So how do we decide if you're both interested in both of them? Lori, you spoke up first. Is there one you'd like to prioritize over the other?
Which day is which?
Okay, so the management hiring committee will be on the 16th and 17th of December, which is a Thursday and Friday, 2 weeks from this week. And then Affordable Learning Materials Committee is every first and third Thursday of the month from 3 to 4:30 in the spring semester. And it looks like Brett just put that info in the chat. Thank you.
I'll do management because that's over quickly.
All right. So Lori Jones will be appointed to serve on the management hiring committee. I'll send an email out confirming that with the requester. And then legislative analyst Valerie Birch will be appointed to Affordable Learning Materials Committee for the spring semester. Thank you both for your service.
Thank you.
All right, that will be it for appointments. We will now move on to unfinished business. Is there a motion for item 9.1?
I move to discuss unfinished business, item 9.1. SAC update report.
With the
I
motion
second
made,
it.
with the motion made and seconded, we will now begin that update. President Mark Shepard, you made the motion and this is your item. Go right ahead.
Awesome. Thank you guys for allowing me to give you guys a SAC report update. In regards to lobby day, just want to kind of reiterate the 4 topics that were on the board to choose to lobby for. The usage of the 72 funds, the student homelessness resources, the increased internet, and the entry-level courses. After careful consideration and deliberation with the SAC meeting, it actually came down to a tie. And it's kind of something that's never really happened in SAC meetings. So the student trustee had to make the ultimate decision on which one we're going to be lobbying for. With that being said, it was actually the student homelessness. So student trustee is going to work closely with the director of legislative affairs at each campus. So she'll be reaching out to you soon to kind of go over some items and discuss and answer any questions that they may have. As far as the actual lobby day, it's going to be mid-February. The actual date TBD, but it's going to be on a Wednesday, is what was discussed as well. So we still have some time to do some lobby day training. I had a pleasure of doing lobby day last semester, which was very fun to be able to go and interact with the legislators and kind of share our stories and our reasonings why we are supporting this topic. So if anybody is interested, I can kind of share some more information with you offline. But that pretty much concludes the SAC report as far as the lobby day.
Thank you for that update, President Shepherd. Did anyone have any questions for Mark or items of discussion?
Chair,
Recognized.
Mark, can I ask you what the tie was?
If I'm not mistaken, it was the usage of 72 in student homelessness. Brett could probably confirm if you remember.
Yep, that was it.
Okay, I thought so.
Thank you.
I can also kind of touch and reiterate on the reasoning for those two. The use of 72 is a very, very touchy topic to go lobby on. It would take some acts of higher power to actually get it changed. So basically didn't want to waste any time and get something actually done was the student homelessness resources. So like I said, but the decision was solely based on the student trustee and hearing each one of the campuses, you know, give our reasonings why.
Thank you for that answer, Mark.
Chair,
Recognized.
I have a question for Mark. So what happens going forward with the tie? Is it just tabled, or will there be a revo or another like discussion about it?
No, no, it's actually finalized. It is student homelessness. That's what we will be lobbying on.
Okay.
So it sounds like the tie was broken by a vote by the student trustee. So similar, we had that situation several weeks ago where as the chair, I had to cast a vote to break a tie. The trustee was the tiebreaker in this case. And it sounds like that was part of her reasoning in terms of there are a lot of logistical complications involving other bodies and current legislation in terms of trying to do something about 72 funds. So I'm thinking her point there being that we would maybe be more effective at trying to do something about student homelessness in the short term, as opposed to having a kind of a long-term challenge with changing 72 funds.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments?
Chair.
Recognized.
Mark, you mentioned it was going to be on a Wednesday in February. Do you have a time for the day, like from this time to this time?
Actually, no, I don't. Brett, do you remember roughly what times we held it last lobby day? Roughly the times. I think it was like 9 to 1-ish.
Chair.
Recognized.
Yeah, so no date set yet because it depends on the district's lobbying firm to set up the day, the time, the guest speakers that you all are privy to. But typically we'd get to the Capitol at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we'd have guest speakers to like 11, 11:30. But lobbying appointments can happen at any time during that day. So sometimes folks would step out and go lobby, you know, legislator so-and-so or assembly person so-and-so, and then come back. So when making appointments for that, once we know the day, you could do it at any time. But what the district provides, it's like what Mark said, 9 to, I think it's like 11:30, 12 o'clock.
That's consistent with my memory as well. Mark, I think you might have been in a different lobbying group than I was. I went with Director of Legislative Affairs Couch and Director Finance, Evie. I think you were probably with President Desari.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, awesome. Right, any other questions or comments on Lobby Day? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will now move on. Thank you again, President Shepherd, for attending Student Advisory Council and sharing all that information. All right, we will now move on to new business. Is there a motion for item 10.1?
I make a motion to discuss item 10.1.
I seconded.
With the motion made and seconded, Brianna, this goes to you since you made the motion. But if you want to defer back to the chair or someone else, you absolutely can.
I think I will defer it back to the chair.
All right, so I just wanted to reserve this time on the agenda to discuss any bills that have been previously passed, but maybe have not been fully enacted, especially with the onset of the pandemic. It's been a little bit more challenging to get access to campus. I believe there may have been previous bills passed that had something to do with, for example, a lactation station. So I'm really glad to see Laurie here today because I think she probably has more information on that than I do. Laurie, is there anything you can share with us about that previous motion?
I'm sorry, which previous motion?
We had discussed earlier in the semester that there had been a lactation station bill passed, and
Oh,
I
right.
personally have not had access to that bill, but I understand that as we go back to campus in the spring, it may be more feasible for the board to do something
Oh.
about that.
Yeah, we were trying to spiff it up, and we had passed a bill for $2,000 that I believe is still in force. And we had chosen items, but I think my brother passed away and I went to Oregon to do the house and stuff. And when I came back, I don't know who had submitted it, but they can't find it or something. And then he disappeared. So basically we were trying to, maybe look at things that would make it a little more user friendly, possibly even a screen in case somebody happened to open the door, even though it should be locked. And different things like, well, these days, wipes and let's see, a comfortable chair, like a rocking, and different things. We looked at the other, I think there's 3 others were at the time. I don't know if there's one in the STEM building. And we worked with one of the lactation study professors. And so, if people are interested in working on that.
Thank you for that, Laurie. Brett, do you happen to know anything about whether or not administration has set aside rooms or specific building space for this on campus?
For lactation rooms?
Correct.
Yeah, so I got actually an email about it earlier this week. So there's the designated one in the student center. The problem with that is we don't know if the student center is going to be open, like when we come back on January 18th. There's a temporary one in the Learning Resource Center right now, but it is not long-term solution by any means. The Beaver Food Pantry in the Welcome and Support Center has the space. They need to redo some shelving and I don't know if they got to put a door for, I'm not sure where they're at with that, but I know they are going to have a space there. Davies Hall, I don't know if it's going to happen. So there will be spaces in the spring. I just don't think they're going to be the traditional ones that we've had, 2 years ago when we were on ground. So I'll do some more legwork on that and I can let the board know. But the one in the student center, you would come up to the CLD, you would get a key, and you could use the space, and then just drop the key off when you're ready. So I'll find out some more for sure.
There used to, so, sorry,
Go ahead.
Chair. Davies currently at least had one. But if it's a rebuild, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. There was one in the nurses station and admin. And that's all I can remember.
Chair,
Recognized.
there might be one in that new nursing area, student health center, excuse me. That opened like 3 months before we all left. So I cannot remember if there's one in there. And I also don't know if it's going to be open, available in the spring. So I have it on my to-do list here. I'll shoot some emails here when we're done and see what I can find out.
Chair, sorry. Is that
Recognized.
the health center in the student center? Yeah, I doubt they would have one since the other one's so close to it. But anyway,
Great, thank you for those updates. Any other questions or comments on the lactation center bill? All right, I have not personally seen the bill. I think the amount was mentioned by Lori a little bit ago. I'll try to get a copy of that bill to send out to everyone so we can figure out who might want to work on this project next semester and what we can do to help move that along. Other than that, I'm aware of a bill that recently came up at Joint Budget Committee where we discussed a sort of movable mural. And I was wondering if Brett had any updates on the situation with that.
Yeah, so basically, from what I've gathered, I have not talked to the artist since the last JBC meeting or the faculty member. But from what I've gathered, the invoice changed to 8,600 instead of 8,000 for tax reasons, as we talked about at JBC. I have not got clarification on what the next step's going to be yet. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you right now, other than it's still kind of where we were at on the last JBC meeting.
Thank you, Brett. And just kind of to update the rest of the board, Joint Budget Committee did not take action because there were a lot of questions with the committee members about what the nature of the taxes were, whether they were sort of income taxes, sales tax, what exactly the tax situation was, because we didn't have any documentation. We just had this kind of word of mouth request. So I think that was a pretty unanimous request for additional information before the committee took action. All right. Other than that, I'm not aware of any bills that have been passed that need further action. So I just wanted to open this up to Laurie, to Mark, to Brett, since all of you have been here longer than I have. Is there anything else that maybe the board should take action on in the spring?
Chair.
Recognized.
Yeah, I had sent a list before. I'll try to find it, but I remember one of them was I'm not sure it was there was a bill for it yet, but it was the changing stations in men's bathrooms and I guess family restrooms also. We had a map. We had gone around and checked which ones had room to put them in. I might be able to find the map that had been submitted also. And then I'll just look for the list of other, one of them was the, some kind of container or shelf for the AED that was in the library. My church just installed one. I was going to take a picture of it so that we know what one looks like at least. There is one, I think there is one somewhere on campus that has a display case, but I don't know where it is.
And Laurie, is that the defibrillator device?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I remember hearing about both of those, the changing station and the defibrillator. Thank you so much for reminding.
Sure. No problem.
All right, so it sounds like we have a lot of health and family access type concerns to follow through on in the spring. So please be considering those for when we come back in the spring and we're able to hopefully take more action, since we will have a little bit more access to campus and in-person operations. Brett, I see your hand. Go ahead.
So just one that it happens every year. There's no like current bill for it. That would be what this board would have to discuss, but elections. So elections take place in, let's see, you can petition in late February, most of March. Elections are in April. I don't have the dates on me right now, but typically in the past, Senate has, when we were on ground, done some sort of rock the vote, get out the vote campaign paired with a candidate form. You can use your 72 funds for that. So that could be something for the board to consider for next semester. There doesn't need to be a bill like today, right? But sometime maybe by February, so that we can get rolling on that. Your constitution actually has an election committee. And I can go into that later on of what that entails. Anyone running can't be on that election committee, obviously, for, obvious reasons. So, but yeah, just something to consider, especially as we're trying to come back on ground, some sort of on-ground event. What that might look like, who knows, but keep it in mind.
Thank you, Brett. All right, any other questions or comments on this item before we move on?
Are we still on spring semester?
Correct.
I think another one was something about, we have a training program on campus for service dogs. And there needed to be some awareness training because one had gotten kicked out of the Oak Cafe Bakery.
Thank you for that. That's good to know. Also something to keep in mind about accessibility. Yeah.
Chair,
All right. Recognized. Go ahead.
I'm confused what Laurie's talking about. Someone got kicked out of the bakery. What happened?
Sounds like someone with a service dog. Is that correct, Laurie?
Yes.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, everyone, for sharing updates on that. We will now move on to item 10.2. Is there a motion?
I move to discuss item 10.2, warming your winters.
Second.
With the motion made and seconded, go ahead, Mark.
Awesome, guys. Thank you again for allowing me to come and speak to you guys about this motion and this event. It's called Warming Your Winters. We did it back in 2019 fall. And basically what it is we have a company with it's called 4imprint, and it creates this small duffel bag of PPE stuff, keep you warm, personal protection equipment. Due to the pandemic, we thought that this would be a good idea to repeat this event. We had a pretty huge success on it last time. So I'm requesting, the Clubs and Events Board is requesting for this to send help. We need about $4,000 in order to purchase these items. Stacey, could you share did you get a copy of the invoice?
I do
And
have
the
a
bill?
copy of the bill. I do not have a copy of the invoice.
Okay, if you can buy 1 second, I can send it to you.
Right. So the bill went out in an email just before the start of the meeting. So if you have not seen it, check your inbox. It is probably there. All right. So here's the bill. It is not yet numbered. And I understand
Okay,
that
Chair,
warming your, go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry. I just sent you the invoice.
Thank you. All right, I will
So
stop
yes,
my
correct. This is the bill. This is the bill for the warming your winters event. And I just wanted to share the invoice so that way the board can look over the invoice real quick to see that the true amount of how much the items cost. And that's why the reasoning that requesting for $4,000.
And I understand that Warming Your Winter is an event that's been held in the past. Is that correct, Mark?
Correct.
And I just wanted to ask, how similar or different is this event from previous events, or are the same kinds of incentives, for lack of a better term, offered? Or
Yeah, basically we're gonna reorder the same except for possibly change a few, change like 2 of them, more of like a hand sanitizer and maybe like a personal like tissue supply. The goal is to to let the students know that we're there for them as far as their safety and due to the pandemic and stuff. This will obviously become a first come first serve due to obviously can't order 100,000 of them. So we last time we had this event, we held it in the CLD, and like I said, they went really quick. The last ones, I think if I'm mistaken, were like a little fleece, like a little blanket, hand gloves, a little goodie bag of like emergency, vitamin packet. I think a couple Band-Aids, just a small basic, 1-person supply of first aid. I also have some other swag or products or items in the CLD in the office that we can add to it. That's already been purchased from Clubs and Events Board.
thank you, Mark. Molly, I see your hand. Go ahead.
I'm not quite sure how is this event going to run. Since not everyone is on campus, how are you envisioning this event?
Chair.
Go ahead.
So due to the new pandemic that we've had, a lot of people are offline, and so it has to be held on campus due to we would probably be violating some privacy things, asking students for their address and such. And so does that answer your question or?
Actually, no. So I'm wondering, for example, if I was thinking about having an event like that, I would advertise it well in advance, and then have some sort of reservation where the students can pre-register those who are interested, because I think it kind of has to be fair, because the campus is only going to be open, I think, Monday to Wednesday. And if you're social distancing, you are not going to be hanging out on campus. So I think it has to be done in a manner where it's fairly available to all students, not just a small group that may be available on campus on the day that the event is occurring.
Chair.
Recognized.
So as far as promoting it and making it, equitable for everybody, there will be promotions sent out via email, through Canvas, through sending it to the professors to let them know. They can also advertise online if they want to stop by the campus. So that's how we would cover, making it equally known to all people online and on campus.
Chair,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
is it appropriate to have a large crowd lining up for something? I mean, I don't know how many units you're going to be able to make, but we want to promote safety and we want to promote social distancing still on campus. We don't know what's going to happen with Omicron. So I'm not quite sure lining up for things is going to be the best option. That's just my opinion. I think as a group, we should be promoting social distancing, masking, vaccination, whatever you feel appropriate for your own decisions for your health. But we should be setting a good example of promoting those guidelines.
Thank you for raising that concern, Molly. I did put in the chat that Beaver Pantry has been holding regular events, which I think Brett just mentioned. They've had sort of a registration RSVP process, and I was wondering if anyone could share information on how they're having students line up in accordance with social distancing. How are those events being carried out safely? All right, I see a number of hands up. Let's go to Director of Legislative Affairs, Garcia.
Yes, I was going to bring out the suggestion of how the Beaver Pantry handles the drive-by. Maybe that is an option. That way we are promoting, safely social distancing, so we just do the same thing. We drive up with our car, open the, either the back seat or the trunk, and then kind of distribute those resources to students. I think that is the most fairest way we can do, because there are some students that are not allowed back in campus right now. And, not because they're trying to rebel or anything, but they've handled every procedure that the district and, college has given them and still can't. So I think that's something also that we need to consider, that at this point now, if we do hold it for, on campus, we should also make it available for those that are taking a little bit more precautious measures like Molly had said, and as well as for those that can't go back to campus. I think it all promotes all that, and it hits all those three targets well if we do a drive-by.
Thank you, Director Garcia. Important concerns. Mark, I'm going to go to Laurie first, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Laurie.
Yeah, hi, I put some stuff in the chat. I think it's drive-through, drive-by, I think of shooting. And they, so we were talking about doing in the portables. I think Brett was going to check with Valerie and see whether we could do that. And they do have a spot too, I think by Davies, where if you don't have a car, you can still walk up, but that wouldn't be that many people. So hopefully that will work, but we might have to staff it. I don't know if they would staff that or we'd have to do it.
Thank you, Laurie. Mark, go ahead.
I just want to say that all of these suggestions and concerns are 100% accurate and correct. All that is based on is just context of the promotion. And I can also reach out to student design team, which has a little small staff of students, and ask for their help as far as making it accessible as to the drive up, and for the students who are taking more, precautionary measures against this pandemic. I'm all for that. So I would love, I'm all for making it equal to all students. This all is basically just based off of context and making sure that we word it correctly on the promotional flyers. So, I appreciate everybody's concern and feedback, most definitely, because I know this is going to be a little bit different than last time we had this event due to we were allowed on campus. Now that we're not, or we're limited, I completely agree with the concerns.
Chair?
Just 1 second, Molly. I wanted to acknowledge Director of Public Relations Fagan. Sydney, I see you've put a couple of comments in the chat. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I was trying to refrain from speaking out loud because I don't know a lot about the Warm Your Winter event, but I was just making specific comments on with the reservations and how it'd be more fair. I was thinking like first come, first serve is the fairest we can do, especially when there's a problem already of unequal access to internet and things like that. Having a walk up, having on ground advertising and online advertising and then making it first come, first serve is a very fair way to do it. And then in terms of safety, I'm all about safety. I never take off my mask. Like, I'm very like hyper aware of COVID and stuff like that. But I just don't see how this event that would take place outside and would have contact with someone for less than 30 seconds would be like a super spreader or like a scary kind of event in that way. And that was all.
Thank you for your comments, Sydney. I just wanted to make sure that you had airtime. And then I believe Molly, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think it's going to be a super spreader event. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to reach the student body and for it to be an inclusive experience for everyone, those who are on campus, those who are not allowed on campus for whether health reasons or whatever. So I just think it is, I see it as an opportunity to reach the larger population and let folks know that we're back, we're here for them. So my point was to really be more inclusive. And also, some people don't feel comfortable getting into a line with a group because they may have an immunocompromised elderly person or whatever. So I am all for registration. And also we see the interest. If there's a lot of interest, we can do a lottery. So I'm just kind of exploring because when I read the bill, it didn't have very much information. And I was kind of reflecting on it, trying to figure out how this is going to work. So that's the only thing I'm putting out there. I'm kind of being the devil's advocate and kind of bringing up other points of view because we are representative of the entire group, not just the folks who are allowed to be on campus. So that's my only thing. But I love this idea, and I think having things on the ground is great because it kind of creates the community, and we need to be available and visible. And this is a great opportunity for us. So thank you for putting that together, Mark.
Thank you for your comment, Molly. And you're not advocating for the devil, you're advocating for all students, as you said, and that's very important to do. We need to consider points of view that are not present at this time, and even those that are, but just to make sure we're speaking up for everybody. All right, Director Garcia, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just want to bring something up that personally, I actually sent an email yesterday to Valerie. Valerie is the supervisor of, the Beaver Cares and handles all the basic needs. And I'm sure you guys know that we have now a baby beavers grant that we, I guess, got. So we are now able to provide diapers, wipies, some cereals, some puree foods. So that's really great. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but I have a 4-month-old baby. So one of the things, as you guys may know, I'm not allowed back in campus. I had asked Valerie, hey, is there anything you guys are doing regarding, students not being allowed to set up an appointment to pick up supplies? And thankfully she's going to have them delivered. So maybe reaching out to Valerie and seeing what we can do as Student Senate to help, make sure that these resources are not just being limited to students that are able or feel comfortable enough to be on campus to receive those, because it would have been, I would have been missing out on that. And thankfully, I'm able to get that kind of help because it is hard. Everyone is going through it. Everyone's being impacted by COVID, and we're just learning how to pivot and start where we're at, so just wanted to bring that up because I did not expect that. And I was just really grateful.
Thank you for that, Sylvia. And I'm really glad to hear that Valerie was able to work something out with delivery. That's a really important consideration. All right, Laurie, I see your hand. Was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want to ask Sylvia, are people, you're not even allowed on for drive-throughs? Are you uncomfortable with that?
No, I am able to do drive-throughs, but I'm talking for this specifically, it would be, you would have to actually go into the Beaver Pantry. And so I'm not allowed on campus. I can do, drive-through or pickup, but I'm just not allowed to physically, step on
Oh.
campus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see. I think that this hopefully would be on the portables where there is drive-through. And for Mark, the question is, I thought we were not going to include the flash drives.
I'm not sure about flash drives. I did not see any in the invoice. Mark,
Sure.
would you like to answer? Go ahead, Mark.
As far as flash drives, I'm more considering cost of excuse me. We as the board, closing events board, are more focused on PPE right now. Not necessarily flash drives, just so I can store some information. Those could be inserted into another event. My main concern right now is safety and and protecting the students who are on campus, such as like face masks, hand sanitizer, tissues, and that nature.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, I think this bill is so important because as far as I know, we weren't able to do any events for students this semester. I don't know whether any 72 funds have been spent. So I think this is like almost obligatory. I would move to hold a vote, but I'm not a member, so.
Thank you, Lori. And I just wanted to acknowledge BPS Spinoza's comment in the chat, whether or not we could write a bill to create a student liaison with funding. As far as I know, we're not able to spend funds to create jobs, because if we were, I asked that question last year on my first year on the board. I really think that would be a helpful use of 72 funds would be to create jobs for students, but unfortunately we cannot. And I also see Brett confirming that answer. We cannot pay for salaries or stipends. All right, Colton, I see your hand. Go ahead.
I can motion to call a vote.
All right, with the motion made, is there a second?
Second.
With the motion made and seconded, Director Carvalho, could you begin the roll call? So a yes would be to approve this bill and no would be to not approve this bill.
With pleasure. VP Dominique Espinoza,
Yes.
Director of Communications Carvalho, yes. Director of Finance Queen,
Yes.
Director of Public Relations Lev,
Yes.
Director of Legislative Affairs Garcia,
Yes.
Senator Ng,
Yes.
Senator Nealon,
Yes, and thank you, Mark.
Senator Gorman,
Yes.
Legislative Analyst Valerie Birch,
Yes.
and CABE Representative Mark Shepard.
Yes.
It looks like we are unanimous in our decision. It is a astounding yes. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Director Carvalho, and thank you, Mark. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you guys very much. This is a huge event, and there's still some planning that needs to be done, which actively working on that. So I just want to say thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
All right, Lori, I see your hand. Did you have something else?
No, just forgot to take it down. Sorry.
And then I also wanted to acknowledge, it looked like VP Espinoza had a question in the chat that I do not know the answer to, whether or not we could write a bill for volunteers who could then be reimbursed for gas to make deliveries. I have no idea. Brett?
Pre-pandemic, any student, especially ASB students that were attending district meetings or a business of Student Senate could be reimbursed for mileage. This one's a little different. I'm gonna have to do some homework on that. And typically, here's the other problem with that. Typically, they counted the mileage from ARC to wherever you were going. And so if the event's at ARC, that's going to be the hiccup, right? To ARC from ARC, that would be 0. So, but I'll explore some options here and see what we can do. And then the third hiccup to that is student travel right now is a very touchy subject. So yeah, that's a tough one, Dominique. Let me do some homework on that for you.
It's a tough one, but it's a good one. Go ahead, Dominique.
I just thought, because it's like, I mean, a lot of people don't have the vaccine and they don't want to get it for whatever reason, but they should still have their services. And I don't know, it's kind of unfair inherently. So I just thought that was a good idea what Silvia has going on. If we could make that accessible to other students, it might be something that we should look into, because you know, everything pre-pandemic shouldn't necessarily just be applied to post-pandemic times.
Right. It's a different world. That's a very important consideration. We might be able to reach out to Valerie and see what kind of program she has going with deliveries, if that was like, you know, kind of a special situation, or if she has something worked out as part of her project. So maybe we could get feedback from her on how to make that happen for students with special projects that the Senate holds, and not just the recurring like service Beaver Fairest provides. All right. So with that, I think we will move on, getting back to the agenda. We will move on to committee reports, and I think the only committee that's met recently would be JVC.
Sure.
Go ahead, Brianna.
Hi, everyone. As previously discussed, Joint Budget Committee did discuss a bill that we ended up tabling until whenever we have enough information to make a decision about the bill. And so our main focus at our most recent Joint Budget Committee meeting was that bill regarding an increase in the budget for a mural that's supposed to happen on campus. And so until the committee has enough information about that, a decision will not be made. And so the next time we do make a decision, I will update you all on what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Nguyen. And that will be it for committee reports. We will now move on to board member reports and announcements. Are there any members of the board who wish to make an announcement or share a report? How did your office hours go? That kind of thing. Go ahead, Dominique.
I just wanted to apologize. I missed my office hour this past week. I completely forgot about it, to be quite honest. I apologize. And that I'm hoping next semester I'll be on campus. I could possibly utilize the room to hold my office hour. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Sounds good. Any other board member reports or announcements? Go ahead, Colton.
Yeah, I'm just giving a little update on the Academic Senate, and because they're going to be wanting to meet up with us next week, Thursday. So if anyone has any ideas on how to implement any of the solutions that have been out, or any of the solutions for any of the problems that students have had that have been outlined in the prior speech for Academic Senate, or if you're just curious about what those problems may be and what solutions we might take or might present to the Academic Senate, just give me a holler, send me an email or something, and we can all try to get together before the Academic Senate to discuss how we're going to approach the situation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Colton, for reminding us all of that. Go ahead, Molly.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Colton. Yeah, I think he did an excellent job on the presentation to the Academic Senate, and also Nathan for attending. I appreciate that. We spoke after the Senate meeting, Colton and I did, and I just wanted to kind of bring the group up to kind of just let you know what we're thinking. I believe the idea of including an access to the syllabus would solve many issues for the students, because if there is access from the course catalog to the syllabus of the course, many professors are already doing that. but if it's, it offers a lot of transparency to the students, including the testing method, cost of the class, because they can see what they need to purchase, as well as whether the method of the delivery of the lectures. If it's not possible to include a link to the syllabus, or if the professor doesn't feel comfortable, Colton and I discussed it, and we felt that those 3 areas were the most important. One being the method of the delivery of the information. If there's lecture, is it slides provided, or is it just reading the material? 2, cost of the class, not just limited to the books, because a lot of the STEM classes also have subscription costs to MyLab and such, and Pearson could be quite expensive, $100 to $300 per semester, depending on the course. So full disclosure of the cost is an important issue for many of the students. And then the testing, how the testing, whether it's Proctorio specifically, because Proctorio requires strong internet support and a quiet area that is well lit. So that's kind of what we're thinking. We would love to hear from the rest of the board. Colton and I were going to get together, and since he did such a great job on December 9th, it was my thought that he should re-attend the meeting and present the information. But we would really love to hear from everyone else about their concerns, because I know this is an issue for many of our constituents. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Molly. Go ahead, Angela. Oh, Angie put her hand down.
Sorry. I know I
You're
brought
good.
this up a couple of times before, but there have been a couple of changes, so I just wanted to provide an update for this. So the American River Review has their launch party tonight. This is actually going to be an in-person and Zoom event. So for those who want to attend in person, it is going to be held at Capitol Books, which is on K Street. I'm going to put the information into the chat. It's going to be held from 6 to 8 p.m. I believe that readings will start promptly at 7 o'clock. We were originally going to have Kathy Ariano. She unfortunately had to drop out. It's going to be one of our featured writers, Ali Blanco. She's going to be doing a reading, as well as Scott Butterfield, who is actually the person who is releasing his book through Ad Lumen Press, which is, for those who don't know, we have the Lit magazine, but we also have Ad Lumen Press, who actually produces or publishes books. And he is going to be releasing his book. They're both going to have their books for sale tonight. And I'm also going to be doing a reading at the beginning. And so I'm going to put the information into the chat. You can either join us via Zoom or in person if you'd like.
Thank you for that, Angie. We're really fortunate at ARC to have both a literary magazine and a press. That is so incredibly rare. And I think in at least one case, it might be the only community college in the nation that does. So I read that a couple of years ago. I don't know if that's still true.
I believe that's with regards to our press. Yeah.
Okay, the press. Thank you. All right. Any other board member reports or announcements?
Chair.
Recognized.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and share this flyer on the chat, but I just wanted to invite you all. SHIP is having an ugly Christmas sweater theme event. It's going to be a social. It's going to be in downtown Sacramento ice rink. It's going to be at Saturday, December 11th, 6 p.m. It's usually tickets $13. You'll have to RSVP just so we kind of know how many members or students we are expecting. So I will go ahead and share the flyer on the chat.
Thank you, Sylvia. That sounds like a lot of fun. Any other board member reports or announcements?
Chair.
Recognized.
I would just like to let everyone know that Real STEM Coalition will be having our last meeting for the semester today at 1:30. I'll post the Zoom link in the chat after I'm done talking. But basically, we're going to be talking about the future for next semester and if we're going to be in person or not and how all that's going to work. So if you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to share about being in person, or you just like to participate or just like to hear the discussion, like I said, it's going to be today at 1:30 going until 2:30.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. All right. Any other board member reports or announcements? Seeing and hearing none, we will now move on to public comment. This time is reserved for members of the public to address ASB Senate on issues not already appearing on the agenda. A limit of 2 minutes per speaker shall be observed with a maximum of 4 minutes per topic. No discussion is allotted on public comment. The law does not permit any action to be taken or extended discussion of any items not on the agenda. The ASB Senate may briefly respond to statements made for questions posed. However, for further information, please contact the ASB Senate President for the item of discussion to be placed on a future agenda. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment?
Here.
Recognized.
I was trying to put my email address in the chat. I would like to be emailed the Zoom link for tonight. I think it is tomorrow night. No, for the American River Review and for the ice skating. And I just want to say that I've been looking at the classes for spring, and I'm trying to take 2 at CRC for my plant-based certificate, which have to be offered in person because it's culinary and gardening. But I looked at, there's PE classes on at ARC, which were on Zoom, and now they're in person. And I'm like reluctant to go. I don't live that close to either campus, so to go both ways. If they could be offered hybrid, I think that would be good and would increase enrollment. And the college always seems to be interested in that. Some of us are spoiled by Zoom and don't want to get out to camp. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. And I wanted to clarify, Angie, is the event tonight, it's in person on K Street, is that correct?
It's both going to be in person and via Zoom.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that hybrid model is really working out for a lot of events. I'm glad to see more things are doing that. All right, any other members of the public wish to make a comment? Seeing, oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just one last thing for ARC Engineering Club, we are still allowing students to sign up for one of our 3 projects that we have going. One is the hydroponics automated 5-gallon bucket. The other one is the solar regatta. So it's an actual competition from SMUD. It's taken place in spring semester in April, and it's basically building a boat with solar panels, and we get to race it. So that will be fun. And we also have the bottle rocket. So if you're interested, I will go ahead and also share the link on the chat. But yeah, if not, please send me a message and I'll send more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, Engineering Club is always doing all kinds of cool stuff. I'm glad to hear they have so many projects active right now. All right, any other public comments? All right, seeing and hearing none, if there are no objections, the meeting will be adjourned at 11:44 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.